As the White House continues its effort to encourage more vaccinations, President Biden announced new requirements for federal workers to be vaccinated or face mandatory testing. Here to discuss all of that, plus the bipartisan breakthrough in Congress on infrastructure, is Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Let me ask you about this new rule and the pushback we are seeing from a lot of federal employees, unions, unions that are representing workers, including at the Department of Transportation. One of those unions, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, called this new rule a clear violation of civil rights. So what do you say to these unions, and there are several of them, that are uncomfortable with the new rule and how it came about?
Well, this is about protecting lives. This is about setting a good example. And to be clear, employees have a choice. Either attest to their vaccination and indicate that that's happened, or there have to be other measures to keep the workplace safe, including masking, social distancing, testing. This is a basic safety measure at a time when we continue to see this very dangerous variant spreading around our country. Look, we have so many obligations in so many dimensions of employee safety to make sure that this is a safe workplace. This is part of that, but it's also important, I think, for our federal workforce to lead by example, because we're asking the whole country to do what it takes to make sure that we get beyond this pandemic, and this is a very important part of how to do it.
And I know that this is not part of your purview as the Secretary of Transportation, not something that you're focused on, but there's a lot of outrage over the expiration of the eviction moratorium, the failure of Congress to act to renew it, the belated way that the White House urged Congress to do it. Listen to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Everybody knew this was coming.
Yes.
We were sounding the alarm about this issue. The fact that this statement came out just yesterday is unacceptable.
So I'm asking you as a member of President Biden's cabinet, did the White House fail on this? Now we have millions of people potentially facing evictions.
Let's be clear, the administration has been acting throughout, and the president views this as a moral issue, not just a political one. And so that's why you've seen not just the guidance that went out recently to the agencies on steps that they can take, but also the work that's been going on from the beginning to get emergency rental assistance out to families. It's out to states, but it's not yet necessarily getting to everybody. But the pace has picked up. In fact, the last month we have reporting on was more than the previous months, and we need to continue getting this emergency assistance out to people so that they can stay in their homes. Yes, the president enthusiastically supports movement to extend this, but we're not waiting for that and haven't been. There have been steps at every level, using every lever available to this administration throughout, and will continue to be.
Okay, let's move on to infrastructure. This was a major breakthrough. You had 17 Republicans voting to begin debate on this. Obviously, it hasn't passed yet, a lot of potential obstacles. But if this comes together, more than $1 trillion on new infrastructure spending, what will this mean to the average American?
Well, every American is going to see a difference. And I think that's one of the reasons why you had this extraordinary sight, something you just don't see in today's Washington very often on a major issue, which is Republicans and Democrats coming together saying, let's do this. And for that matter, business and labor, rarely on the same page about a major economic issue, at the table saying, okay, let's get this done. We're talking about roads and bridges. We're talking about ports and airports. We're talking about rail and transit, not to mention the work that's going on water, on broadband. There is no county, no community, certainly no state in this nation that won't see improvements because of this. Just like every part of this country has seen the cost of us failing to invest over the last 10, 20, 40 years the way that we should have been. Now, my department stands ready to get to work as soon as we get those dollars once a bill is signed by the president. But of course, we got more work to do to make sure everything comes together.
Yeah.
Bottom line is that we cannot remain in 13th place as a country with transportation infrastructure. And as we change that, the other thing I want to mention that Americans are going to see in every part of the country is new jobs. Millions of good-paying jobs, most of which are available to workers, whether they have a college degree or not.
Okay, so that's quite a pitch for this, but we've heard from Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi that she says she will not take this bill up in the House unless the Senate also passes the much larger social infrastructure bill that is opposed, that all Republicans oppose, even a couple of Democrats are not necessarily supportive of. Would that be a mistake for Democrats in the House not to pass this bill unless they can also pass this other larger bill? I mean, isn't this good in and of itself?
Well, we believe
on its own?
We believe in both of these packages, and we believe in each of these packages. And the president has made clear that he supports them both and looks forward to signing them both. But I don't want to give up on the idea that at least some Republicans could vote for the second bill, too. I mean, what's taking shape there on what's called the human infrastructure side? Maybe they don't want to call it human infrastructure. Fine. They can call it whatever they like. But cutting child poverty in half by extending the child tax credit, excuse me, making sure that Americans can have paid family leave so that we're not virtually the only country in the world that lacks that. Why can't at least a few Republicans vote for that? We're going to keep pushing on that end.
But can I
we've seen success on the physical infrastructure.
I understand, and can I just ask you a yes or no question? Should Congress pass this, even if this is the only infrastructure bill that is passed, or should this basically be held up unless you get both?
We think Congress should pass both, and the president looks forward to signing both.
All right. Not quite an answer, but we tried. Secretary Buttigieg, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.